In 1558, a 25-year-old woman walked into the Palace of Whitehall, carrying the weight of a nation on the brink of collapse. Behind her lay a lifetime of betrayal, imprisonment, and near execution. Ahead of her, an empire waiting to rise. Few knew it then, but Elizabeth Tudor, a woman many expected to fail, was about to become one of the most powerful monarchs in world history. Elizabeth. I was born on September 7th, 1533, into a storm that began long before her first breath. Her father, King Henry VIII, broke from the Catholic Church to marry her mother, Anne Boleyn, an act that shook Europe. But their triumph was short-lived. When Elizabeth was barely 2 years old, Anne was executed on charges of treason and adultery, most of them fabricated. Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and removed from succession. These early betrayals forged the calculating caution that would later define her rule. Raised apart from the royal court, Elizabeth was given one of the finest educations of her age. She mastered Latin, Greek, French, Italian, theology, and political philosophy. Her tutors noted her brilliance, calling her memory marvelous and her intellect princely. Yet her childhood was shaped by fear. She watched her father execute wives, advisors, and nobles. She learned one lesson early: trust could be fatal. When Henry VIII died and her younger brother Edward VI became king, Elizabeth cautiously navigated religious conflict and court rivalries. After Edward's death, her half-sister Mary I took the throne. Mary, a devout Catholic, viewed Elizabeth as a threat and imprisoned her in the Tower of London, the same place where her mother died. For months, Elizabeth lived with the fear of execution, writing letters to Mary with calculated humility that historians still admire today. Her survival during this period remains one of the most remarkable escapes in Tudor history. When Mary died in 1558, Elizabeth inherited a kingdom on the verge of ruin. England was bankrupt, religiously divided, suffering military defeats, and surrounded by powerful Catholic enemies. Many believed a young, unmarried queen could not hold the kingdom together. But Elizabeth immediately took control. She crafted the Elizabethan religious settlement, a balanced compromise that ended decades of bloodshed. She appointed loyal, brilliant advisors, most notably William Cecil and Francis Walsingham, who helped her build a spy network stretching across Europe. It became one of the most sophisticated intelligence systems of the 16th century. Elizabeth refused marriage proposals from kings, princes, and powerful nobles. She understood that marriage meant losing control of her throne. Instead, she skillfully used marriage negotiations as diplomatic weapons, keeping European powers uncertain and off balance. She declared herself married to her people, embracing the image of the Virgin Queen, a symbol of purity, authority, and divine right. Her reign marked the rise of English culture and global ambition. The Elizabethan age saw the genius of William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and Ben Jonson, the voyages of Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh, and the beginnings of English influence overseas. Elizabeth encouraged exploration not for glory, but to break Spain's dominance and expand England's wealth. But the greatest threat came in 1588. King Philip II of Spain launched the Spanish Armada, a massive fleet intended to invade England and overthrow her. Elizabeth rode to the troops at Tilbury in a white gown and silver breastplate, delivering a speech that electrified the nation. "I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king." When the Armada was defeated through English strategy and a devastating storm, Elizabeth's image as an invincible monarch was sealed forever. Behind her public triumphs, Elizabeth struggled with emotional and political burdens. She outlived nearly all her closest friends and advisors. She executed Mary, Queen of Scots, her cousin and rival, a decision that haunted her. She battled illnesses, rebellions, and conspiracies until her final years. Yet she refused to name a successor until the very end, maintaining absolute control over her destiny. On March 24th, 1603, Elizabeth I died at Richmond Palace after 44 years on the throne. Her death ended the Tudor dynasty but left behind a transformed nation stable, confident, culturally vibrant, and rising toward global prominence. She had turned her vulnerabilities into strengths, her traumas into strategies, and her isolation into power. Elizabeth I remains one of history's most iconic rulers, brilliant, fearless, calculating, and unforgettable.